Let's label number 13 in respect to this angle x. So when I jump, it's my opposite. That's my hypotenuse. And I have my adjacent. And then looking at SO, CA, and TOA, I know my adjacent, I know my hypotenuse. So which trig function am I using? Cosine. So we have cosine of the angle x is equal to the adjacent 8 over 16. And since my x is inside the cosine, I need to do the inverse. Cosine inverse on both sides. The inverse and the norm goes away. So that means my x equals cosine inverse of the ratio. If you want to simplify 8 over 16, you can, but you really don't have to, since we have our calculator. Let me check my mode. All right, so when I go to second cosine, and then my alpha y equals, I get 8 over 16. Should I be getting an angle that's greater than 90 or less than 90? Less than 90? And are we rounding into the whole or 2 decimal places? To the whole, because we're looking at the angle. Did you get 60 degrees? Clean number. All right, let's go on to number 19. Luke, let's read number 19, please.
The train is traveling a slight grade with an angle of inclination of only 2 degrees. After traveling 1 mile, what is the vertical change in feet?
So we're looking at inclination, very slight. You can make it big if you want. In my inclination, rising up is 2 degrees. That train is traveling along the diagonal, right? It's not going through the wall. So we're looking at, that's going to be at, how many are we at? Oh. Now you don't have to memorize this, but 1 mile has, anyone know how many feet? 5,280. Pretty close. So that's at 5,280. And it's asking us, what is a vertical change? My vertical change is the altitude right here. So are we okay with the drawing? Okay, so let's label in respect to this angle right here. Here's my opposite, here's my hypotenuse, here's my adjacent. So I'm looking for the O and I know the H. So which one has O and H? Sin or sine? Sine. Sine of the angle 2 is equal to my opposite x over the hypotenuse 5,280. Now for this one, my variable is not on the bottom. So I am going to multiply by 5,280 on both sides. That's the algebra piece. Which makes this to go away. So my x becomes everything on the left. Okay, let's kind of anticipate something. Because my inclination is 2 degrees, will the x be really large or kind of small compared to the hypotenuse? It should be pretty small. Let's check. So we have 5,280, sine of 2. How would I round? 2 decimal places. 184, that is pretty small, right? And we were anticipating that. So that's going to give me 184. How would I round it? 0.27 feet. Okay, Gretchen, let's read number 20.
How long is the diagonal of a rectangle if it makes an angle of 40 degrees with a side 10 centimeters long?
Okay, so we're looking at a diagonal of a rectangle that's going to make 40 degrees along with the side of 10 centimeters long. So let's start by making a rectangle. You can make it wide or tall, that's up to you. So we know it says how long is a diagonal, so that's what I'm looking for, x. And that diagonal makes 40 degrees with 10 centimeters. So it doesn't matter where you put the 10, but let's say I put the 10 here. the angle 40 goes right at this angle. That might be the hardest thing to determine. So are we good with why I put the 40 on there? The diagonal makes 40 degrees with the 10.
Did you say the 10 doesn't matter?
If you put 10 over here, 40 is going to go over here. If you put 10 over here, 40 goes right here. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and label. In respect to 40, we know this is our opposite. That's my hypotenuse, and that's my adjacent. So we need the hypotenuse and we need the adjacent. Is it sine, cosine, or tangent? Cosine. So cosine of the angle 40 is equal to my adjacent 10 over x. Can I use that trick because my denominator has the whole variable? What was the trick? Take all that and swap. So we have x equals 10 over cosine of 40. So let's do an anticipation. Should the hypotenuse be larger or less than 10? It should be larger. Let's see if that is correct. So we have 10 on top, cosine of 40. And it is larger. How would I round this value? 0.005. Very good, and that's our centimeters. All right, Kinder, let's read number 21, please.
Triangle RPQ, the length of the altitude RS is 24 inches. Find the perimeter of triangle RPQ.
So we're looking for the perimeter. I would start with one triangle. Let's start with this guy right here. And we know RS is 24. So really in the end, this is going to be 4 trig problems because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 individual segments. So let's start by labeling. I'm going to call this one X, call this one Y. Okay, to find X, am I going to use sine, cosine, or tangent? Tangent because 33, opposite, and adjacent. Do we all see that? Okay, so I'm going to write tangent of the angle 33 is equal to my opposite 24 over X. Can I do my trick and swap the X and the tangent? Yes, I can. I want you to swap it and write more on your paper. But I'm going to go ahead and type it in. Tangent of 33. Let's do an anticipation. Should this X be greater than 24 or less than 24? 33 is less than this unknown angle, correct? So therefore, that angle is greater, so it should be greater than 24. Do we all see that? Okay? That's a really good way to self-check. And it is greater. So my X on this one is going to be 36. Point how many? 96. Very good. To find the Y piece, I don't want to use a rounded value of 36.96, even though I'm correct on this one. Let's stick with the original. So to find the Y piece, are we using sine, cosine, or tangent? Sine. So we have sine of 33 is equal to 24 over Y. And does the same rule apply? Swap. So we have 24 over sine of 33. And this one should be the largest side. Should be greater than 36 for sure. And yes, it is. So we have 44.07. Okay, with the partner, I want you to find the next 2 pieces. Let's call this one N. Let's call this one, I don't know, D. So you're now looking at the right piece. I'm going to give you about 1 minute. Go. Talk to your neighbor.
two? That one.
Okay, let's all check with mine. But the question actually asks us to find the what? Perimeter, so we're adding all the sides on the outside. Somebody already have the perimeter? That's right, 130.24. And we're looking at inches.